My name is Rajiv Day. I'm the founder and CEO of Learnerbly. My career has been in the HR tech space. So prior to Learnerbly, I was running a jobs platform called Internships, helping thousands of companies hire entry-level talent, so interns and graduates. And then around 2016, turned my attention to having hired all these great people, how do you develop them and launch Learnerbly?
In our community, I know that a lot of the community actually are customers or clients of Learnerbly. So it's really cool that we're going to help more of the community discover a product that so many people already find valuable. So thank you so much for giving us a glimpse. Could you start by sharing the story of why Learnerbly exists?
Yeah, absolutely. Firstly, it's great to be here, and thank you for inviting me, Matt. I've been a great fan of the work that you've been doing and the community you've been building. So with Learnerbly, there was a few things that really led me to setting it up. So firstly, I'd had experience of working in the HR tech space and helping companies hire great talent. But there's a few kind of observations I made. Firstly, a lot of particularly smaller companies didn't have large people teams. They wouldn't necessarily have an L&D function, and they wouldn't necessarily have the means to support their colleagues to learn and grow. At the same time, there's no quality control in professional development. So anyone can be a coach, anyone can be a trainer. You don't really know what good looks like. So beyond Googling something, where's the best place to do an Excel modeling course, or where am I going to go to improve my communication skills? And so that really led me to this concept of a curated marketplace, where you can learn what you need to learn based on how you like to learn. So the third observation was the fact that people learn very differently. And the status quo in most organizations is a one-size-fits-none model, where they might bring in something like, LinkedIn Learning is probably a classic example. That's one particular vendor, which is one way of learning, which is online learning. And we recognize that people learn differently. So they may not have the content that really resonates with your people, but also maybe everyone doesn't like online learning. So with Learnerbly, we work with 200 or so providers, and we curate the very best content from them. So you don't have to have the underlying licenses and subscriptions to all of the different vendors, because it's actually impossible to be the best of breed in all the different areas that your business needs. So instead, your employees can connect, if they want to do 1 month of Pluralsight, if they want to get 3 books, if they want to get a coach, or they want to do, a Skillshare kind of subscription. All of that is available in one place, with none of the headache or the hassle for HR and people teams to have to administer all of those relationships, to have to chase people for invoices and reimbursements. That whole process end to end is solved by Learnerbly. And so it was really kind of scratching my own itch, so to speak, of wanting to help develop my colleagues, recognizing that there was nothing in the marketplace that was really solving this problem, and feeling that, things can be done better. And given how important it is to invest in people to ensure that they continuously upskill and reskill themselves, it's frankly for me was not good enough just to tick a box and say, yeah, we do learning, we just bought this thing and leave it there, because the data speaks for itself. People simply don't engage with most learning solutions. But with Learnerbly, we'll see over 90% of employees activate, and anything from 40 to 60% using it every month. So clearly our approach resonates and it works with clients.
And what I love is, I know that's a true stat, because I saw one of your clients posted that on LinkedIn.
They did exactly. Well, we saw exactly. So we saw Luno, who put on LinkedIn that within the first few months, over 90% of their employees have already engaged and started using the platform. So with that and all the G2 reviews that we've seen, it's great to see the community proactively sharing their success stories.
Yeah, so I love that it's curated, the filter. I think that's so important, and how inclusive it is to different people's learning styles. So I'm a big fan. Let's take a look to give people an actual look at the product.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me show you how it all works. So here's a demo account that I've done for you, Matthew.
Yes.
Here you've been given £300 by your organisation, Culturevist Demo 2023, to invest in your development. But obviously the amount can vary, right? It can be £100, it could be a couple £1,000. There's a whole range, and we support dollars, pounds, and euros. But also you don't necessarily have to stipulate an amount up front, and I'll show you how it differs depending on the organisation. So we want to find out what role you do. Let's say you're a chief people officer for the purpose of this demo. You are within the people and HR function. You're senior and you manage people. So that gives a better sense of, the type of person you are and helps make better targeted recommendations. For the purpose of this demo, let's pick a few topics that you might be interested in. And then within those topics, let's dive a bit deeper into some subtopics. Because this is an audience of people leaders, let's pick more of the kind of people-related topic areas. We know first-time leadership and management comes up a lot as well. So pick a few topics and off we go. This, I would say, is quite one of the unique aspects of Learnerbly is the multimodality. So whether you like books or you like online learning or even face-to-face kind of conferences, a full breadth of opportunities available to you, and this helps shape your recommendations as well. So once you're ready to learn, you go into the platform and you firstly see the stipend, so in this case £300. As I mentioned, you don't have to give people an individual learning allowance. This can be at a team level or it could be at a central level. So if you've got an engineering department and they've got a training budget for that team, they wouldn't necessarily see an amount. Their team lead, the manager, would be able to see that they have a pot of £5,000, £10,000, whatever it might be, and people can make requests and they can approve or reject them. Or it could be done at a central L&D or HR level where all requests go to the top. But for the purpose of this demo, you've been given an individual stipend to spend. As a manager, you can see who's in your team. So you've got Penelope Cruz and Rowan Atkinson in your team, very fortunately. And you can see an activity feed of what your colleagues are learning. Now, this is a really important aspect of our product because these social features are what make it really engaging and compelling for people to come back. The fact that particularly in a world where people are working remotely or in a hybrid way, you don't necessarily overhear conversations over the water cooler or like overhearing people talking about I'm going to this event or I'm reading this book. And so Learnerbly really replicates that in product where you can see what your colleagues are learning. But you don't necessarily have to share, even though we encourage it. I'll show you as we go on how users can decide whether they want people to know what they're learning is whether it's shared or not. So there's an activity feed. There's the concept of the top picks. So based on things that you're interested in, some things you might want to like a masterclass subscription, Pelego for kind of ebooks. Based on your role, some things that we think you might be interested in around HR. Then you can see what's trending across the platform on the topics you're interested in. So these are across all users. These are some resources under L&D that are trending at the moment. And then you can see the concept of playlists. So there are two types of playlists. There are Learnerbly curated playlists, and then there are organizational playlists. So here, these are resources that you within Culturevist have chosen that you think your colleagues may be interested in. So if we go here, you can see Matthew's top picks, first-time managers, and you can see here's an article, here's a context as to why you think that might be useful. Here's an online course, here's a video, and this is a great way for you to kind of curate content. But the great thing about it is that it's not just reliant on you within an HR function to do that curation. Anyone within your business can curate their own playlist. So we're really democratizing access to learning. So that insight and knowledge is within all your employees. And so it's not just on you to be the bottleneck to help to kind of curate these playlists. So that's the concept of playlists. Now, if you want to search, let's take first-time leadership, and that's a very popular topic. So there's Making of a Manager is a book that is very well loved on Learnerbly. So here you can see the book, and then you can see reviews. So this is a level of curation that's over and above like an Amazon review, because these are reviews left by people on the platform that are clients of Learnerbly. So here you can see they've reviewed it with 5 stars. And so that gives you some confidence that people like you working in other tech or progressive companies are using this and finding it a useful resource. If you then are inspired to learn and use it, you can request it, and as a paperback or there are ebook alternatives as well. And then you can send a note to your manager, in this case, Leonardo DiCaprio, as discussed in our one-to-one. And so you can then put an address for it to be sent to, your home address or office address. And then this is where you decide whether you want other people to know that you've requested it. If you don't want people to know, you just toggle that off, but the default is for it to be shared. Once it's confirmed, it will go to your manager for approval, and then it'll be purchased for you, so you'll receive the book. You can choose to have auto approval. So if you say, anything under £50, which is what we have internally at Learnerbly, is auto approved, then this will not need to go through approval. It will just be purchased as long as it's within budget. The other thing to say is that if you pick on a resource that your colleague has already requested, you can see here that Rowan Atkinson, one of your colleagues, has already requested this book. So again, you can ask them about it, get their feedback as well. I think the other thing worth noting is the fact that the kind of choice we give you. So normally in organizations, you would sign up everyone to everything and then hardly anyone will use it. Whereas here, you're only paying for the content that people need in the flow of work. So take Pluralsight as an example. If someone wishes to do something on Pluralsight, they've got the choice between a 1 month, 3 month, or a 1 year subscription, which means you're not wasting money on an annual subscription to everyone. If the intention is just to do one module, I'm going to spend £28.80 and do this particular course, and that's saving my own stipend and saving company resources as well. So that's obviously a quick run through of some of the kind of social features, the search feature. You can explore as well and just discover what's new on the platform, what's trending. You can see content by resource types, by topics, by playlists, by providers. And then as a manager, you can manage your approval. So these are some requests that have come in from your colleagues. You can decline or approve them. You can say, look forward to hearing about it. And then the idea would be you can pick it up in a one-to-one. There's also an inbuilt Slack integration so that you can approve things through Slack as and when they come in. You can top up and deduct people's budgets. So if someone spent something that is outside of their specific budget, you'd be able to go in here and then top them up or deduct a specific budget. And then also you can see kind of team analytics. So who's signed up, how do they like to learn, what are the popular topics of interest to them as well. So that's a very, very quick run through. There are more features that I won't kind of go into kind of detail, but very happy to have a conversation with anyone that's interested in learning more.
That was such a great demo and overview. Thank you so much. I can totally see how it makes things so much easier, partly for the company with so much in the discovery and bringing it to people rather than people having to go to it, and all the administration of it, and so much for the individual as well. Just again, discovering things I wouldn't have found. And I've worked in places where one of the things we try and encourage is personal development, and there are many ways that we can try and do that. So for example, in the weekly all company meeting, we invited volunteers to share, what have you done for your development last week? So that's like one way to encourage people. And I can see how this has so many ways that encourages that social aspect of let's learn. So it's not just about the transaction, it's about encouraging that culture. So I'm a big fan.
Yeah, and actually just building on that, one thing that we've seen works really well, particularly with the Slack integration, is when someone requests one thing, whether it's a conference or a particular book, then 5 other people will request that as well. And particularly with books, and we even had that internally where someone requested Atomic Habits, 3-4 other people requested Atomic Habits. They created a book club on the back of that where they would have weekly check-ins, share their insights and whatnot. And so those kind of social features, like creating that learning culture, we know is so important and has a lot of research around strong learning cultures and connections to kind of performance, employee engagement and retention. So anything you can do, particularly in a more hybrid and remote world, to foster that we think is really important, and it's great to see that play out with the data we see from our clients.
Are there any client examples that come to mind of where they've tracked the impact of using Learnerbly to like a measurable improvement, whether that's their skills or achieving objectives within their role? Like, does anything come to mind?
Yeah, it's a great question. So in terms of measuring the direct impact of Learnably, a lot of what we typically do when we onboard a client is take baseline data, particularly around their employee engagement scores. So if they use a Culturevist, Office Vibe, Lattice, Peakon kind of platform, we'll take their kind of baseline data. We've seen numerous examples of particularly personal growth scores go up. In some cases, it went from kind of the lowest driver to kind of highest driver. Looking at kind of a lot of clients have also done surveys when they've done proof of value. So we had a client with 3,000 employees, and they did a survey, and they specifically found that the personal learning stipend, I think that the score was 4.6 out of 5. It said that it motivated them to learn because they'd never had one kind of before, and Learnably as a solution has encouraged them and supported them to learn. So the point around skills is a really important one. It's actually the direction of travel as a business. We're in the process of really rebasing all of our content around the specific skills that you'll be developing, so that we can tell that story in a skills way rather than a topic-based way. So where the platform has come from has been very much around the topics, but where we're going is around talking to the skills. By reading this book, these are the 3 skills that you'll be developing, and then we can tell that narrative and help companies understand the particular skills that people are working towards as well. So I'd say watch this space. It's very much live in production at the moment.
I can totally see the benefit of it. If people watching think, okay, yeah, I want to get in contact, how can they do that?
Well, if they go on our website, www.learnerbly.com, you'll see there's a button on there which is request a demo. So if you click on that, fill in your details, one of our team will be in touch, and we'd very much love to hear from you.